You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
And returning.
We are a quadruped once again.
The
illustrious
quartet.
Quartet, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you're here for, to fill in the vocabulary I've blanked on. Welcome back, Michael.
I had so much fun last time. I decided to hop on here again just so I could get ridiculed once again by
I want to break in here. My teachers always told me to show them on the doll where I was touched right here in the eyeballs. This is where you hurt me.
Now you
the
guys
mailman did it.
You got to realize Michael has not seen that video.
Oh, God.
It's been on the patrons paid to see it.
Oh, God.
We had a plum smuggler invade our Facebook page.
Premium adult content here.
Yeah, that was the first time I've had to figure out how to censor an image on a video.
A lot of firsts. That's our first Show Me on the Doll segment, too. So.
Yeah.
Back, baby.
Those patrons, they got an eyeful.
I apologize. It was not, did not mean to do it. It was an accident.
So we're coming to you through Zoom. We're recording the audio for all our audio listeners, but patrons get access to the video and sometimes a little more. Mm-hmm. So $1 a month gets you access. $1 a month gets you access to the video feeds of this. Yes. You get access to the secret Facebook page. You can vote in our polls when we think to do them. You can interact. You can talk Big Brother with us. You can request segments. Mm-hmm. You can just post stuff, and we'll talk to you about it.
Yeah. Speaking
paying
of
$1 to see stuff like that, how far away are we from cam girls?
No
you basically become that.
But speaking of the request, just tonight, Jesse himself put in some sort of request.
Oh, yeah.
For a top 10.
Well,
top 10
he specifically already has March Madness. I think he's missing the days of the TV theme song bracket. And wants us to come up with another bracket idea.
Okay.
So I said I would open it up for discussion. We need to come up with something. So everybody get your ears cooking.
Well, we have talked about doing a top 10 now that we have visuals to this. We've talked about doing a top 10 comic book covers of all time.
True.
I've been kind of compiling a list for when we have time to get to that. So that'll be on the horizon at some point, but that's not quite a bracket. That's not quite as fun as debating and battling out to see who the winner is.
I have the kernels of an idea. I don't know if I want to spoil it. Maybe I'll bring it up between episodes here.
Well, I immediately when I read that message right before we came on, the first thing that came to my mind was I wrote down game shows.
Game shows. That's a good one.
We could do a bracket on game shows. It would not have to be 130.
It was 141.
141.
140 TV theme songs was how they got bracket.
I'm pretty sure we could narrow that down quite a bit.
Why? Why would you do that? Well, I don't understand.
So I don't think we need the 6-hour marathon. We don't want to torture.
You gotta give some love to everything. Reminisce. Jeez.
You know, like when you were sick and you stayed home, and the only thing that was on TV during the mornings was game shows.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's a good one. Well, we're open to suggestions. So if anybody thinks of anything out there, send it to us, and we'll
think it over.
we'll mold
This is the
it.
story about most accidents.
What the hell?
He's been distracted.
Hey, you're on a show. You're on a show over. Hey.
He's just bragging that he bought a movie.
He bought a movie.
Legitimately.
All right.
Hey guys, this whole week I've been celebrating my 15th anniversary in business. How about that?
Wow.
Pretty cool.
How old does that make me?
15.
Pretty old. 15 years old.
Opened in
No.
September of 2005. It has been 15 years I've run a comic book store in this world.
In your
That's
third location, correct?
third location, so it averages out to 5 years.
Yeah. Better start looking.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Now,
Thank
does
you.
this make you the oldest running comic book shop in the Middle Ohio Valley?
As far as I don't know if I'm the longest ever, but I'm the longest current.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
If you don't count Alonzo's / fantasy sports cards, he's been around forever, but I don't think they really do comics anymore.
Right.
Hmm.
Yep. We'll give it to you.
Yeah. Why not?
So it's been nice. People have been popping in and reminiscing and talking about. Oh, I think I started coming here in and having some trips down memory lane this week. So it's been enjoyable. Had a big sale, did free comic book summer, gave away a lot of comics. So it's been a pretty good week around the shop.
Yeah. That. Gosh, man. So Cooper
Once
was
upon a time.
5. Cooper was 5 the first time we went in there. Of course, you had the video rentals.
Yeah.
Too, at
Video
the
That's
time.
what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I still have one I need to return.
15
Man, those late
years
fees.
times late fee.
You might be able to retire, Jordan.
Yeah.
Now it is funny. There are 3 babies that were the young customers of mine that were had the youngest babies when I first opened, including my nephew who was we have pictures of him in his little car seat sitting amidst the paint and the hammers and nails and as we were building the store. Yeah, exactly. So he's 15 now, and the other one is one of my good friend's daughters. They just put a picture of her up. Got her driver's license permit. She got a driver's permit. I was like, yep, she's 15 and a half. I've watched these, and then there's a customer that was there from day one, had another one's right at around 15. So I watch these kids grow up, and I can kind of visualize that. Oh, yep, that's how old this store is. This inanimate object would be getting its driver's license right away.
Now, did you think after all these years you would still be using the same Asylum Comics letters in the windows?
Well, that's not the original plan. Problems with signs and sign creators and sign installers have led to that. So,
Yeah.
Best
What?
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
maybe
Way to go.
by the 20th. Maybe by the 20th.
Well, I was just what made me think of it because I remember before you opened and it was saying coming soon, Asylum Comics. And I was like, yes, a legitimate comic book store coming to Marietta because
You could kind of hear a murmur, all the nerds in the Middle Ohio Valley were like, "What?"
Yeah, because Alonzo's wasn't a true comic book store.
No,
It
I
was-
was always driving to Parkersburg, going to whatever those were down there, Gateway or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was certainly glad to get a comic book store in Marietta that I could go in and awkwardly not talk to the guy at the counter because we were both too awkward to just, I'll buy this and leave. Okay.
Yeah,
Now-
I remember when we first went in there, and my wife was like, "Hey, I went to school with that guy," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, we eventually evolved into making fun of Michael. That was our tied thing. Was that I knew
That's
you
how
might
I bonded. Most people I know is bonding over shared insults.
You mean through the love of the Michael?
Right.
Right. Oh well.
All right.
Will we do anything?
Hey, I have a question about Asylum Comics.
At
When
212
you-
3rd Street?
Yeah.
It's at 212 3rd Street. That's the address.
Is that Suite A or B?
That's Suite A, baby.
Now, when you first
Sweet.
opened, was The Walking Dead out yet?
Yes, it was at like 20-something, 23
Wow.
maybe.
Because I can remember like buying the first couple of trades down there.
Yeah, and you let me borrow it, and that was I started reading it. It was
Yeah,
good.
because I think I read one and then came back the next day and got the next one.
Yeah.
I can definitely like reading back issues and things. I know exactly like what was pre 2005 and what was post 2005. Anything that was in my store, I'm like, yep, that's from this era.
Right.
I have a very good eye for.
That's cool.
All right.
Speaking of time,
We're
how it
spanning
passes,
time. We're spanning time.
we are spanning time. Act like you like me. All right, we're doing another time warp.
It's just a jump to the left. With your hands on your hips.
Talking about another book I've read in this series I'm doing until I just run out of time travel books that I've read. This series will end, but for this episode, we're going to talk about the first time travel book I ever read. Yeah, any guesses, Jordan?
Back to the Future, the novelization.
No,
That's what I was going to say.
that was the second time travel book I ever read. Very good. The first one was Mark Twain's Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
That looks like a first edition.
No, I highly doubt it. It's old, but they're all old. All editions of this are old. This is like from the 19th century. So, not the book, but the original story is. And has anybody ever read it? No. It's, I've heard what it's about. There's been movies.
Yeah, I have vague memories of a black and white movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I originally read it when I was a kid, probably 11 or 12, and I remember really liking it because I never read a time travel book before, and that sort of guy gets knocked out or whatever and wakes up in the time of King Arthur's court, and I think it's like, I don't remember what years it's supposed to be, circa somewhere 500, 700 BC, somewhere in there. And he...
Give or take 200 years.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember. It's been a while now since I read it recently. But it's good. It's definitely a classic, very famous book. No, it's not. I've been reading so many of them lately. It's definitely not one that is up at the top of my list right now in comparison. But I did enjoy kind of revisiting it. But like he has to figure out how he's going to survive in this time and prove, use what he knows to gain some power in this time, because he knows things other people don't. But even when it was written, though, you have to think when it was written, it was the late 1800s. So there was only so much technology at the time anyway for him to know. But very early on, it's kind of the first thing is he predicts an eclipse. He will use his great magic to darken the sky if they don't let him go or whatever. And And so that's how he gets his foot in the door, getting some power in that time. And it goes on from there, but it's a classic. So
I've always thought about that idea, and I don't know if somebody may have done it already, but I've always thought about that as a time travel story of like, if I did go back in time, I would have all this knowledge, but I wouldn't know how to do anything. I couldn't build a cell phone or like, like, yeah, I know what the internet is. Well, I don't know how to put it together. Like, you would have all this knowledge, but what could you really do with, like, steam power?
Yeah.
3PO, tell him to release us, or you'll use your magic.
I've read a couple books that kind of address that, and we'll get to some of those ideas in the future here.
Well, I just think if you would go back to those times of how bad it would smell, because people didn't shower as often, they weren't as clean.
Every Western or movie like that I watch, they're wearing a shirt, an undershirt, a shirt, a vest, a coat, in the Arizona desert. I'm like, oh gosh, what does that smell
how
like?
Bad?
Horses?
Yeah, because
they're trying to cover it up with layers.
And they all dress proper.
Everybody's got, the women have the petticoats and the 7 layers of skirts on. It's like,
yeah, jeez.
That's why they wore hats. They all had that greasy hair going on. Didn't want anybody to see that.
Yeah, you had to.
We idealize the past quite a lot.
You had to rob a bank.
Probably it sucked.
You had to rob a bank to be able to go afford a bath at the saloon. That's the lesson I learned from Westerns.
Have a proper lady bathe you.
Yeah, you want scrubbed? Would you rob a bank? As a matter of fact, I did.
Oh, one of those Westworld milk baths.
All right. Okay. All right. So
movies.
Now, let's do some movies.
Let's do some movies.
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod! On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Well, the theaters are opening back up, so I've got a little bit of what's been going on here lately. The breaking news today, as we record this, Wonder Woman 1984 just got delayed until Christmas Day. So it was, according to DC Fandom, and the comics I just looked at this week all had full-page ads saying October 2nd or whatever the original one was. So they've already put money into advertising this movie, like multiple dates, and they just decided again to delay it.
Wonder Woman 84 going to be Wonder Woman 85.
Yeah. So the one theory I saw was perhaps this was a move to give Tenet more time to make back its money. Released through the same companies. There isn't very much competition from now to November. So why put 2 big movies out at the same time that would kind of cannibalize each other? But
I think I read something about Tenet the other day saying that they were going to leave it in theaters until it made money.
Nothing else to put out there.
That's
if it's in there long enough, I'm going to go see it.
Well, that's the idea. The movies right now are getting more quote unquote real estate than they ever have before. There's way fewer movies, and they're playing on way more screens, and they're going to be in theaters much longer. So people are like, well, is this going to mean less worrying about opening weekend grosses? Because it used to be a movie comes out, if the opening weekend's buffo, then it's a hit. If it's tanks, then it's gone within a week. But, like, things are different now. So there's, are they going to give people more time and more chances to see this stuff? So Tenet, speaking of, it opened with a surprisingly strong, quote unquote, $53 million overseas, where things are a little more back to normal, and had a $20 million opening in the U.S. So that, in a $200 million Christopher Nolan, blockbuster is a terrible opening weekend. But people are like, man, I guess that's okay. Because this movie, a lot is hinging on this movie. This is the first kind of big movie to reopen. And everyone's looking at it. What's it going to do? This is going to forecast, the next several months of movies. So again, we're recording on a Friday. We just have the estimates for the second weekend, but it's estimated to bring in a little less than 10 million. So it's going to still have a big drop from first to second weekend like movies usually do. But that doesn't really answer any questions of like, did it work or not work? It's just kind of, 20 million is pretty good. It's not great. It's not terrible. So everyone was waiting on this big movie to come out, and it didn't really answer any questions.
You were going to say something about Mulan, right? Like, do you have numbers on that? Because I bet we can answer some questions.
I don't know that Disney's released like download numbers, but it's opening in China today.
I thought I heard that they did. I thought I heard some numbers a couple days ago. That was something like, I want to say it equaled out to a little over 50 million they had made from people buying it, on there. I could be wrong. I feel like I heard that. And I thought that, what does that say? Tenet made 20 million.
What's on the Disney boards? What are they talking about?
Yeah, Mulan drove Disney Plus app downloads up 68% week over, must be last year. No, it wouldn't be last year. Wouldn't 68% over week, but didn't beat Hamilton because Hamilton was somewhere.
That was a
70
anomaly.
Some percent. So
well, the Hamilton one, you weren't paying $30 also.
Right. But I don't see an actual number.
I doubt.
Maybe I dreamt it. But I thought that somebody had worked out the numbers that they had made like 50 or 60 million in that $30 price tag. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like I'm making it up, so I don't feel bad saying it.
Well, it does say Mulan made, one headline says Mulan made 33.5 million in first weekend on Disney Plus.
Huh. Well, somewhere in there. But that's more than Tenet.
Yeah.
And if all these movies are getting moved back and you got like the news just keeps saying, really, we're looking at 2021 is going to be a mess also, that you're not going to be back to regular, I guess what I'm saying. Right. So at what point do you quit just holding on to these movies and decide, let's make some money. Let's put it out on VOD.
Mm-hmm. That is what Bill and Ted 3, Bill and Ted Face the Music did. It opened in limited screens. I don't think it opened. I'm not sure. I don't think it's playing in Marietta. I don't
think the Marietta Theater is currently open.
I just looked today.
They are. They're
are they?
Yeah, they have Tenet and that weird.
There's a new movie,
like a period piece. I don't know anything about, and there's some romance I'd never heard of. So they've got a couple movies, but it's not too much. But Bill and Ted, it made 1.1 million at the box office its first weekend, finishing in third place. Second weekend, only 765,000. But it debuted on first place on all the video on demand charts and remained in either first or second place on every platform for the last couple weeks. So it's a huge success streaming, but it, quote unquote, tanked at the box office. So again, I don't know what we're still figuring out what the right thing to do with these movies are.
I feel like charging $20 for a new movie is where it's at. Just do that, and I'm in. I think people are gonna do it. People are getting used to it. Bill and Ted really kind of broke the gates open. I think if they start doing it now, people are like, okay, that worked out. You have to just tell yourself, I'm not at home watching a regular movie, and get off your phone and actually enjoy. That's the problem. Is like some of these, it's like you just are so used to playing on your phone while you're watching something. What if I pay $20? I'm gonna freaking pay attention.
Yeah, I was not on my phone when we watched it.
But I also heard it was good enough that you didn't care. You weren't like wanting to get on your phone. So.
I didn't hear anyone complain about it. Like I haven't seen anything on social media going, how stupid it was.
I have very high hopes for it, so I'm glad to hear you seem to back up that it was worth a 30-year wait. Is that correct?
Yeah. It definitely was.
Any other spoiler-free reviews that you can give? No, don't tell me cameos or anything.
Is it the basic concept from the previous movies? Do they go in the phone booth and go back in time?
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't want to give anything away because it's so new, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Music.
But
I mean, it's
it exactly is a continuization of the franchise. It's like nothing has ever like. See, like this is what I hate. This is why I laugh.
We sharpen each other, Michael. We're like two swords, just
like the last time I was on here, I was trying to choose my words because there were certain words I knew I was going to screw up.
You're not just out delivering mail. This is the big time.
Anyway,
it's okay. We know you have a little rust. We're not going to judge you too harshly if you're a little rusty at this whole thing.
Oh yes, you are. But anyway,
we are. He might.
I loved it. I was actually super pumped and excited, and like I loved every minute of it. Like at the end of the movie, like it actually was better than I expected it to be. I was pleasantly surprised.
Is it better than the second one?
Actually, I like the second one better than I do the first one.
Oh, it's like Karate Kid take all over again. We can't get into this controversy.
Exactly. They better not come out with a whole show about Bill and Ted because I don't want to get into this.
The reviews I'm hearing they call it's feel good. It's just life affirming. Like that's the kind of movie I would like to watch right now. Something that's fun and positive.
Yeah, it does kind of give me that vibe. That more reviews I've heard about it and stuff makes me think it's what we need right now. So but I'm still not gonna pay $20. I'll either wait till Michael moves his camera over to his monitor.
Yeah, that's
or
after.
Wait and rent for $5 later.
The only thing I really want to know, honestly, station or no station?
There's reference.
I'm okay with that. You can reference it, that's fine, but I'm glad they left that out.
I would say what's awesome about it is they knew exactly what they were. They didn't try to change the formula. I mean, it's a continuation. The only thing that I would say that my wife pointed out is that Keanu should never shave his beard. He looked like a 40-year-old woman is what she said or something like that.
He didn't look very good with the shaved.
Okay.
But it was awesome.
The other big opening we've had was finally New Mutants to the big screen.
Oh, I forgot it came out.
So yeah, its first weekend made $7 million. And then the second weekend it added 340 new theaters and still dropped 59% and only made $2.9 million. So worldwide it's made about $20 million back when its budgeted was $67 million. So it's not a success. It's the last several X-Men movies have not been huge hits, and no one expected this one to be. But I don't know, circumstances were no help to this. So
they should have.
Maybe it should have done the streaming thing. Yeah,
they should have put it out 2 years ago. Is what they should have done.
They couldn't even get the name of one of the creators right.
Right.
Yeah, we saw that controversy. The artist of the original New Mutants, Bob McLeod. Posted,
who I talked to last year.
Seth's
Great
close
buddy of
personal
mine.
friend.
Great buddy of mine.
Was the artist was kind of from the beginning didn't think they did anything the way he drew it. Basically, quote, erased everything I contributed to the way the characters look, which it's a movie, things are going to change. But then at the end, they slapped him in the face. They spelled his name wrong. So he said, I think I'm done with this movie.
And America agreed. We are done with this movie.
But I saw AV Club didn't even review it, and they had a long thing they posted. They weren't sent screeners, and a lot of movies that probably aren't going to be very good they'll do that. And they said, we're not going to send our writers out to theaters and endanger them. If studios can't send us digital files or a screener disc, we're not going to review it. We're not going to put people in harm's way to review a movie. So that was kind of even the reviewers are trying to figure out how to do their jobs at this point. So the other big, well, we mentioned it before, but Mulan hit Disney Plus, but just today opens in China. So this was kind of the hopes. Cliff, correct me if I'm wrong, but the animated film from 1998 did not do very well in China.
Right.
From what I have heard.
That was always my my understanding.
Pro. This guy's a pro. Got the Sparko seat.
Monitor looks like it's off the Spaceship Enterprise.
Yeah.
This
is like literally happened last time we recorded. We're like, don't get up and leave your volume on. Professional. Look at that guy.
I can hear every word you guys said. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine, but we shouldn't hear every word you're saying in the other room.
I didn't say anything. I was quiet.
Hit the mute.
I'm sorry. I didn't get enough drinks for it.
But yeah. I if I remember correctly, Mulan, like, I've never been a huge fan of the movie, and maybe it was just bad timing of when it came out, the age I was.
Yeah, very different world. Especially China, their film industry was not where it is now. But what I read was it was a little too westernized. It's based on a famous Chinese story.
Right.
So I'm sure they thought, oh, we'll do something. They'll love it. I think
Eddie Murphy is a dragon. They'll love that.
The source material was not respected well enough. So I think their thinking was, we're going to do it right this time, and we're really going to nail that Chinese box office. And that hasn't. Again, it opens today. We don't know for sure, but the forecasts are not good. So China right now is the only major film market that's pretty well back to normal, which is scary because China's where all this started, and they've kind of solved it and are back to normal. Take from that what you will. But they cast, Chinese performers, and the star is American Chinese, Liu Yifei.
Sure.
Yeah. But it is currently the subject of a media blackout in mainland China. All right. So Disney's, Christine McCarthy?
No.
Oh, she's Disney's chief financial officer. I figured you would have her on your chart somewhere. From Chapek to McCarthy and
yeah, I think we talked about her when they had a big mix-up in personnel.
All right, so she kind of addressed what's going on. That quote, Mulan was primarily shot in almost the entirety in New Zealand. And in an effort to accurately depict some of the unique landscape and geography of the country of China for this historical period piece drama, we filmed scenery in 20 different locations in China. She said it was common knowledge that filming in China requires the permission of the Chinese government, and noted it is standard practice to acknowledge that in the film's credits, the national and local governments that allowed you to film there. And she ended her little statement saying, but that's generated a lot of issues for us. So that's what's happened. The film was mostly shot in New Zealand, but they shot a few places actually in China. One of those places was the Xinjiang region in Western China, where the government currently has incarcerated over 1 million Uyghur Muslims. Mm-hmm. And if this, there was a John Oliver episode all about this not too long ago. These people have been moved into what they call assimilation programs as like vocational training and helping these folks out. But other people are calling it basically a prison camp, concentration camp, something that has kind of displaced a huge Muslim community in that part of China. So people aren't happy with that, and they don't think that's a good thing. So there's this huge storm on social media, which is always where it starts. And a U.S. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri wrote to Disney's chief Bob Chapek about ignoring these human rights abuses, and quote, "These did not stop Disney from going to Xinjiang to film Mulan, nor did it stop Disney from collaborating with the Chinese officials directly responsible for these atrocities." So, yeah, even if only a very tiny percent was filmed here, it has kind of caused some problems. So the Chinese government has just said, we don't want to talk about it. You're not allowed to advertise. Let's just not talk about this movie. So this is the biggest release in the world in its, going home to show the Chinese folks their hero, Mulan, and the government's like, yeah, we're not going to talk about this. So now they're thinking it may very well tank in China as well. So
wasn't there something else about it, one of the actresses like calling out like what they had done in like Hong Kong, like she said that like the government was right.
Yeah, there's been some backlash to the actors as well. So I don't know, not smooth sailing for Mulan at the moment.
Yeah. Which is
so quick, Cliff, defend Disney for supporting human rights abuses. Go.
Yeah, no. Can't do it.
Don't you have a release or something you're supposed to read?
An official statement from Bob Chapek. No, the Disney company has major ties now in China. They just built Shanghai Disney, 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, in the opening of Mulan, that Disney castle shot that always comes up, they used the castle from Shanghai Disney.
I saw that.
And and I'm sure they're like, we don't want to mess with our money. We've invested billions over there and into these theme parks, and we don't want to get kicked out because the theme parks over there are partially owned by the Chinese government, or it's another company, that's not Disney owned land. It's very similar, I believe, to the way it is in like Tokyo Disney. So, over there they have the Oriental Land Company and all that, so that they have to work with. So yeah, it's definitely a touchy situation and a bit icky.
That has become more and more prevalent in the last few years, especially said the Chinese box office is getting bigger. It's more important. It used to be if a movie's big in America, then it's made it, and there's a worldwide box office, might make some extra. But now the Chinese box office is almost what America is, and if you can have a hit there, the way Avatar did, and can be the huge global blockbuster, or Avengers, or these movies that make billions of dollars, that's what you have to do. But you have to also pass through the Chinese censors.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been this kind of political debate of like, should we be doing that? Should we be making art that, that should be, rubber stamped by Chinese government officials,
right?
Just so we can have a big blockbuster, or is it, I don't know how to make the argument, but yeah, should the studios kowtow to an oppressive regime to in order to appease them?
Yeah, corporate politics.
Yeah. I know none of you guys watch South Park anymore, but there was a very good episode of South Park recently, whatever the last season was. The whole season was Randy had left town and opened up a weed farm, and he was trying to expand his business. And he goes, you know what? There's a whole country that doesn't have any access to great quality marijuana. I'm gonna go to China. He's like, no one's ever had this idea. I'm gonna exploit the Chinese economy. And he gets on the plane and there's Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh and all the Avengers. And like all the Disney, the whole Disney cast is on the plane. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" It's like, "Oh, we're going to China. We're going to exploit the fertile ground in China." So it was a whole episode basically saying, "Yeah, we're all just gonna, we're going to change the way we tell stories in order to make money elsewhere."
Well, I know you guys know I've been doing quite a bit of reading lately. Well, I have a book I read that fits into the movie category. There was a movie that was supposed to come out this Christmas that has been pushed to next October, called The Last Duel. The Last Duel, but it's a nonfiction book by Eric Yeager. True story of crime, scandal, and trial by combat in medieval France. It's going to be directed by Ridley Scott, and the screenplay is written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Oh,
interesting.
So it's a.
Do they all talk in Boston accents?
Yeah. Oh, here's how it works. It'll be French accents except for Hat Damon. He will just put on a helmet, and that's all he needs. Guaranteed. But the book is great. It's very I can't believe it's never been made a movie before, honestly. I mean, it's about the historically, there's been duels since then, even medieval duels, but this is famously one of the last ones in France, and around the late 1300s. And it was just a knight and a squire that were friends, and then there's some accusations about the squire sleeping with the knight's wife, and there's a duel, and a lot of other stuff happens that I won't spoil, but obviously there's going to be a duel. It's called The Last Duel, but it goes through all the gory details of just every little thing, who it's very Game of Thrones, first off, and crazy. I just really loved it. And knowing that the guy, there had been a lot of research done. There's so many documents they were able to get access to decipher what happened and everything. And then going through setting up how the duel will happen, what weapons they each have, what resources they have, how it will go down, all the rituals involved that happened, and then the details of the fight. And I was like,
I hope Ben Affleck sings the 10 Duel Commandments.
I do. No, he's not actually one of them. He's supposed to be in the movie. I'm not sure who he's playing, but the knight and the squire are Hat Damon and I'm blank, Adam Driver. That was what kind of excited me. I really like him. That's my first thought was Adam Driver is going to act the hell out of this, do this cool French accent, talk about. Just from reading the book, I was so cool to just think of him talking about how he's swearing, kissing the crucifix. He doesn't have any magic charms on his person or horse. And Hat Damon will just be like, "Yeah, buddy, how you like them apples?" But I'm psyched to see it. I think it should be pretty good. The book was great, so I definitely recommend it. A rare nonfiction thing. I usually don't read a lot of nonfiction, but that was really cool.
We watched a fun little family movie the other day, the other afternoon. That came out on Disney Plus, but the movie was called. It's based on a book by the same name, The One and Only Ivan.
Welcome to your new home.
We're rolling. What are you looking at, huh? Your papa.
Looking at his dad.
Let's give him a great show, okay? The one and only Ivan! Why do they want an angry gorilla anyway? You're a silverback. He terrifies humans.
You're not terrifying. Who's that?
My sister.
Where's your sister now?
I don't remember.
Memories never leave us. They just get out of reach.
Whoa, did you draw all these?
A gorilla. Who draws? What is it? Don't tell me. It's a lonely haystack on a late summer day.
It's a beetle.
Can you tell me a story?
Once there was a baby elephant who was smart and brave, and she needed
Which
to live
is
in a world where she could be
Gorilla or
free.
something?
what's that?
Is it a gorilla or something? I feel
Yeah.
like I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorilla. It's based on a
They
base.
sing karaoke.
No,
Yeah. Can you
There's
sing?
no-
Does he make you cry? Would it make you cry when you watch it?
it was a sweet little movie. Like I said, it's a very Disney family movie.
This is next level. I can watch Bill and Ted on the reflection of Michael's glasses.
Get the proper angle there, Michael.
Yeah.
But it starred Bryan Cranston. And it had Sam Rockwell. He was the voice of Ivan. And it had Philippa Sue from Hamilton. I just mentioned. She did a voice. Shaka Khan did a voice, and it's got Ron Funches. It's got Danny DeVito is the voice of the little dog he's friends with. But yeah, it's about a gorilla that
just wants to
stars. He stars in a little show in a local mall for a very long time.
Does he sing?
Yeah. Who did the
He
voice of
doesn't
that?
sing.
Who did the voice of that gorilla, Michael?
I don't want to talk about it.
But yeah, it's a little show, and for a really long time, and there's an elephant in the show, and then there's a new baby elephant Ruby, who becomes the new star of the show, and a sweet little girl actor, and it's got Helen Mirren in it. It's just a great cast. It was good
is
enough.
It animated or live action?
Well,
Both.
Both. Yeah, of course the animals are animated, CGI, and then the actors are themselves. So.
Okay. I got a hot idea.
Mm-hmm.
How about, just hear me out, instead of taking movies that were animated and making them live action, why don't we take some live action movies and make them animated?
Ooh. It's next
Suggestions?
level.
I don't have any suggestions, but that people can't get together and film movies anyway. Just set them in rooms and draw some cartoons.
My suggestion would be to animate Alien.
Alien.
Ooh, that could be really cool. Yeah. Michael had a good idea. I like it.
I've been listening to some
Aeon Fluxy.
Yeah.
You've been listening to what?
I don't have very much time to read anything, so I have to listen to audio books. And I was listening to Alien, the Covenant.
Yeah.
And then they had one that was like the prequel to that, which unfortunately wasn't that good at all. All it was about sabotaging the ship that was going into space, and there was like a cult that was trying to blow it up because out there be demons. It was a strange type of prequel that I don't even know why they did this book. Like it was, but I've been listening to a few of them. I guess there's a whole series of them, but and I was like looking at the Alien timeline of all the movies and how they added up, and I even started watching the original Alien the other night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that movie, the actual alien is only on screen for like just a few minutes in the original one. It was very much like Jaws. It was the anticipation of it. So,
movies. I've been watching some documentaries. I'm watching a lot of political documentaries. I'm not entirely sure why, because we don't get enough politics.
I was going to say, you're not getting enough of that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I watched the Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 11/9, which is the 2018 follow-up to Fahrenheit 9/11 about the Bush presidency. So this was his movie about the Trump presidency. If you don't like him, you'd never watch it anyway. But it's not just about Trump. It's a lot of it has to do with Flint, his hometown, and kind of the things that were happening in Flint as a microcosm of America, and what kind of led to people thinking, Trump was a good idea, and what happened to even like Bernie Sanders, who, he won every county in West Virginia, but through, super delegates, West Virginia cast their votes for Hillary. So it was like saying it's not just Trump bashing. It was bashing at everything went wrong in 2016 in the political arena. So it was an interesting look at some very recent history, but we're already able to kind of look back and see what developed. Then I watched The Brainwashing of My Dad.
Yeah, I watched that too.
In the 1960s, Jen Senko's dad never had a bad word to say about any race or people or person.
Then in the 80s, after my dad discovered talk radio during a long commute to work, he suddenly didn't like black people, poor people, gay people, feminists, Hispanics, and especially Democrats. After he discovered Fox News, they became the enemy. What happened to Dad?
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy, but it has not yet been fully revealed to the American public.
By the 70s and the 80s, the media had been taken over by the extreme right.
Homosexual marriage is such a threat to civilization itself.
Fox News came along.
Mass murder committed by immigrants. God controls the climate. Come on.
In asking the question, what happened to her dad, it was really like asking what happened to our media. And in asking what happened to our media, it was really like asking what happened to our country.
So this is director Jen Senko, and I remember it was a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe campaign that hit really big. So it gave her a lot of extra funds to go and kind of make this full-length movie. So it's it's very partisan. There's a bias to it going in, but it's talking about the success of right-wing media, from talk radio to Fox News,
beginning with Nixon.
From Nixon on till today, how successful they've been influencing public perception and the public conversation that we have. And I just, you might argue that, oh, no, they just report the news. But there is no left-wing equivalent to talk radio or Fox News. Or else all of our grandpas would be running around quoting Bernie Sanders. They're not. Mm-hmm. The older generation and the conservatives are so well structured in their arguments, their policy, their discussion, and it's all kind of funneled through the media. And what stories get talked about, how they're presented, who they're presented to, and you might think that's right or wrong, but it's just basically saying how and showing how good they are at it. Mm-hmm. And the left is not. The left is all over the place. So I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's going to change anybody's mind if you go into this movie with either perception. It's probably not going to change your mind. But I thought it was interesting. Was there anything?
Yeah, like
there, Cliff?
No, I thought it was good also. It was an interesting look, especially with the director's, the creator's own father, and just how he started out very, when he was younger, He was considered a moderate Democrat at the time, which was not uncommon, And at some point, Rush Limbaugh comes around in the 90s, and he starts listening to that on his commute to work, and is quickly just sucked into it, and it changes his entire political beliefs, unknowingly to him, almost. And then he just became obsessed with it, and he's signing up for all these newsletters through his email account and all this stuff. Well, this goes on for a very, very long time until he starts getting older, and his wife had went in and had started at some point to unsubscribe him to some of those newsletters, and then started sending him a new view through email to some other pages, some other networks. And as he got older, he gradually came out of it, because he didn't realize that he was reading anything differently. And he went from being very angry, a very angry older gentleman, that all he wanted to talk about were these, alt-right talking points, and then gradually coming back to the person he was many, that they remembered as children and young adults. He became that person again, and he was just kind of like, yeah, I used to think that way. And he's like, I don't know what I was doing. So it had a happy ending to it, and in between that, you're getting first account of other people that have been other families, and people that have went through the same thing with parents or relatives or whatever. So I thought it was good. For a free documentary, it was worth the watch.
Yeah, it's from 2015. It's streaming out there on a lot of platforms at the moment. The last one, the one I wanted to talk most about was, did you know there was a sequel to Super Size Me? The Morgan Spurlock documentary?
I want to say yes.
I did not.
I know there was a show.
Yeah, he did a show for CNN. It was I really like Morgan Spurlock. I like the things he makes, and the CNN show, he went and lived different lifestyles. It was 30 days, I think it was called, where he would go.
He would do different things for 30 days.
Do something different for 30 days at a time. But Super Size Me 2, Holy Chicken.
Has fast food gotten healthier?
Absolutely.
Has fast food truly turned a corner? To find out, I could go back on an all fast food diet. But something tells me this calls for a different approach. I want to start my own fast food restaurant.
You're crazy.
Yeah. Tell me what kind of food.
The most eaten animal on the planet. Chicken.
If I can have the farm that brings the chickens to the restaurant, that's a good story.
Go forth and find your chickens.
I am your chicken father. That is a lot of chickens. My free-range, cage-free, no hormones added, humanely raised, natural chickens can get the USDA's seal of approval.
Sounds amazing.
Until you start to realize how much of that is labeling. What's the smallest space we could give them that would still be quantified as free-range? Free-range.
Welcome to your fluorescent lit restaurant.
Everywhere you touch is just greasy and sticky. It's like somebody cleaning the grill with cleaning solvent. Oh, research is what this is. Welcome to Chicken Corporate Training. Woo!
They've been health washing the dirty, unhealthy truth.
Fresh green herbs give a health halo.
The term fried has evolved to crispy.
Artificial grill marks.
You can paint them on with dark food coloring.
How healthy are our sandwiches? I think that answers my question. What if there was a company?
It was made in 2017, and YouTube Red bought the rights for $3.5 million. So it debuted at a couple of film festivals, and it was going to be a big splash on YouTube. And then Spurlock admitted to some bad behavior, and he got Me Too'd and canceled and had to go away, which I don't remember. He must have been among the several of those dominoes that fell back then. So this didn't come out till very recently. It's on Prime at the moment. It's basically, I thought it was going to be one of those like, look at the factory farms, like we smuggled cameras in to show you how bad this. It's not that, because I don't know that I would have even kept watching if that's what it was. But it's basically he's going to people saying, hey, I want to open a fast food restaurant. And everyone's like, wait, what? You're the guy, you ate the McDonald's, who? And he's like, yeah, but I think fast food places are trying to get healthy now. They're having salads, they're having different options. And I think I could be at the forefront of that and like help show the healthier side of fast food. I'm like, oh, okay. So he basically goes from step one, clear through an opening, and he rents a restaurant, and they just call it Columbus, but when they showed a news clip, it was Westerville, Ohio, which is where I went to college. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think it was an old Wendy's. I'm like, I swear I know that restaurant. I think I ate at that Wendy's before. And I was trying to see where it was, and I think it was the one right down the street from where I went to college. So he guts an old Wendy's and basically builds his own restaurant. And it goes to the farming. He rents barn space at this chicken farm, and it basically just shows all the steps from where the meat comes from to when it's served on the table. Yeah. And all these steps involved in making you think it's healthy when it's not. It is not healthy at all. And it is all the ideas of free range, farm to table, farm fresh, organic, all the things like the FDA allows you to call it to think it's healthy. And he goes through them. It's like, okay, so farm fresh, we're on a farm, check. Like you just can call it that. Farm to table, okay, we're good. And free range, he's like, I'm lost on the what does it mean to be free range? And it was basically the chickens have to have the option to go outside. They don't have to be outside, but they have to have the option to be able to go outside. He's like, well, how much room do they need? So they figured out he made a little fence that was literally probably 3 feet in diameter and put it outside the door. And he has free range chickens. Mm-hmm. And the chickens are bred and
they're breaded?
Well, they are eventually.
Right there. Farm to table.
But they have been bred in such a way to get so fat so fast that they can barely walk, and they don't move much. Their feathers don't grow in because they molt. So, like they get so fat, their feathers won't even stay on them. So like he was trying to get the chickens to go outside, and they're like they don't want to go outside. They just want to sit there. So he like, come on, chicken, come on. And he like shoos it outside, and it looks at the sun like So
are you saying we're a bunch of chickens?
Yeah.
What?
This sounds familiar.
Where's your feathers?
I molded them.
So yeah, and then it goes into the problems farmers have, how these giant companies kind of dictate all the terms, they make all the money, and like how hard it is to make a living doing all this farming. But then it goes all the way up to opening this restaurant, and he hires staff and creates the whole inside of the restaurant, and it's all like all the signage, all the bags, everything in the store is like, we painted this wall green to subconsciously remind you of farms and open spaces. And then like, this is it has a picture of a lovely, healthy chicken. It's like, our chickens do not look like this. And it was like, it's basically like the most honest restaurant you've ever seen. And it's not, and it, like how we paint on char marks, so it doesn't look like our food's deep fried. It's like all the tricks restaurants do to make you feel okay about eating this junk. And but it was not mean spirited in a way. It was not a gotcha. It was not an attack, but it was just a clever kind of eye-opening way to go about it. So I really enjoyed it. I said, Morgan Spurlock has apparently made some mistakes in his life, but I think he makes good films. So I enjoyed the Super Size Me 2.
Yeah, I had heard of that, but I never watched it. Sounds good.
Well, I came in too... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I came in too late. I was going to interrupt earlier, but when you were on the little political thought, because we watched Irresistible not too long ago, and where it's got it's directed by Jon Stewart, and it's got Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Roseburg.
Yeah, but I mean it's right along those lines that you're talking with that documentary of how they spin the media, like they pick this one little small town, and how they both sides get involved with it, and how they have their super PACs. And at the very end of the movie, there's like a little interview that Jon Stewart gives with maybe a political advisor or something. He's like, and this is all like legal to do, and they're like, oh yeah. So it's well. What am I trying to say here? It's a good movie to watch while also teaching you a message.
Right.
I was worried the commercials things made it almost like too much of a message. I was worried it wouldn't be a very good movie just because it was trying to explain.
It didn't get very great reviews. This is the first good review I've heard. Maybe I'll watch it.
Well, Christy bought a copy after we rented it and watched it.
Throw it on the reflection.
I didn't feel like it was preachy at all. It was an entertaining movie, and then at the very end, it gave like a little message saying, "Hey,
the more you know."
Okay.
The more you grow.
No.
Good. I'm so shell shocked when his camera moved.
I know.
All right, guys.
Your eyes.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Get the doll back out.
Shield your eyes.
All right, so that's the movie biz at the moment, such as it is. We'll see what's coming down the pike as the fall continues into the Christmas holidays, the Christmas movie season. We'll see if that changes anything. So we will be back shortly. Michael, thank you once again for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I was just trying to think of something funny to say, like how.
Don't think. That's your problem. You never used to think. It just came to you. The less thinking you do, the sharper.
That's
the
when
more
the genius comes out. The genius comes out.
We want your whims.
Yes.
Well, I think you guys might just be stuck with me for a while, and I'm sorry.
Are you talking to us or the audience?
Then quit thanking him. And just he needs to be part of the saying goodbye.
Yeah.
And stuff. So.
Well, all right, then give us your old.
Yeah, sign us out, bitch.
Sign out.
I am the illustrious Michael K. Easton.
As always, thanks for joining us. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Goodbye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.